Hey there guys, and welcome back to Alex Invest. I am back, and today we're talking about MVMD. You guys know I'm extremely bullish on this one. It is still my largest holding and it will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Now there's a couple catalysts that are coming up in the next couple of quarters here potentially, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So we're going to start off with their recent news release, which came out on August 26th, and here it is. It's the listing or uplisting to the OTCQX, right? They used to be on the QB, and now they've moved one up to the QX. Now, why is this so important? Well, the actual uplisting to the OTCQX isn't the most exciting or most important thing here, but it is interesting to note, with their new financial advisors that they have now in Mark Gallant and, a couple of other ones there that they've announced recently, is probably a big reason towards how they've been able to get this uplisting, right? But the interesting thing here is when they talk about the TSX Venture Exchange, right? Because we know that they've started to make an application there, but they've moved away from that and are potentially listing on the NEO Exchange, right? Something they're deciding right now, and of course those financial advisors are going to help them with that decision there as well. But the interesting thing in this article here is this, right? They are planning to eventually uplist, obviously, to one of the larger exchanges in the United States, which is obviously the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, right? But what they say here is the company has taken steps to evaluate a listing on each of the foregoing stock exchanges and anticipates finalizing its strategy in the fourth quarter of 2021. In concert with anticipated broad progress across its business. Now, what that means is essentially they want to coincide both the uplisting to, or potential uplisting to the NASDAQ or NYSE with their developing a business, right? And what they're doing, and potentially the commercialization that comes from that as well, and the license agreements that come from that. Now, I know we've been waiting a while for the pilot projects in Bangladesh, and also been waiting a while for the cannabis announcements, right? And also we've been waiting for the oncology news. Now, any of those, or potentially others which they're working on, could coincide there with that Q4 and with a potential uplisting to the NASDAQ, because they're hoping what's going to happen is those two catalysts together are going to push up the share price significantly, right? And I think it's a good strategy if they stick to that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that anything comes of this, because as we know in the past, there are some deadlines that have been missed, and we haven't seen some of that substantial information as soon as we would have expected it to, and we haven't seen the business development there and those license agreements as soon as we were expecting originally. But that does not mean they are not coming. Now, if they are accurate here and they actually do end up both hopefully uplisting to the NASDAQ or other large US exchange with progress across their business, license agreements, etc., then again that could be very, very good news for the share price of this stock. Now, it also means that we have to wait about another quarter. Now, of course, there could also be news coming out in before then, right? But it seems like they might be trying to wait and hold out on that substantial news up until they can hopefully uplist to one of those larger US exchanges, and that's what's so interesting here. Now, let me just quickly Control F here, because there is one more thing here on commercialization, right here. It is important that we advance our uplisting strategy in concert with anticipated advances in science and commercialization efforts to ensure institutional and retail investors have access to our shares, right? Because they're looking for more liquidity, but that at the same time, there isn't going to be that extra liquidity and those extra, specifically buying of shares if there isn't some substantial news behind it in their science or commercialization efforts. Now, science on the one hand could be, some of their developments in oncology, for example, or even, further, developments in ivermectin or selamectin or ivectisol and selectisol as their novel drug is called there. And commercialization efforts, right, is the pilot project potentially, or the cannabis license agreements there, or again, something else, right? Now, again, with those new financial advisors there as well, it's more likely than not that they will be able to list on a larger US exchange. And hopefully, as we've been waiting for a while now, we will kind of get some of that substantial news at the latest in Q4 2021 in just a few months here. So this is kind of the first catalyst here, right? Is the uplisting matched up with or in concert with business development or scientific development in MVMD. Now, there's two more potential catalysts though, and the first one is that Delta variant and other variants of COVID-19, right? It's becoming more prevalent again. More people are getting COVID, and the weather is getting colder. And as we know from last summer, what happened, right? COVID went pretty much away throughout the summer and then came back as the weather got colder. Now, it's something that we could potentially expect to happen as well moving into the next few months here, right? It's September now, October, November, December, right? Getting a lot colder there again, potentially more outbreak of COVID-19. And with that, right, MVMD is in that, also COVID space in a way with ivectisol there, or hoping to be with ivectisol there at some point. And that as well could be a catalyzing effect for MVMD. If COVID becomes more prevalent again, people will think that it's going to be something that'll last quite a lot longer in our lives. And because of that, it might be that MVMD actually has a bit of a run from that, because people expect that eventually MVMD and ivectisol will be a popular option against COVID-19. Now, if we get something like that, and if we also get in collaboration with that some sort of substantial news from MVMD and the uplisting, those three catalysts could potentially happen at similar times there again, hopefully pushing up MVMD's share price. Now, finally, and this is the last catalyst here, is their current share price and the MVMD chart here, right? If we take a look at the last 3 months, right, that's August, July, and June, we can see we've been consolidating here essentially around this or in between this box, right, with the lows and a very good resistance level here at about that 0.35 level. Yes, we did dip below here, and this was a big buying opportunity. I did mention that this was a buying opportunity, and I did buy quite a lot of shares around this level. I actually doubled my position somewhere in here. And, since then, again, we've been consolidating here at that 0.35 level, and that little jump there is nice to see. Now, this is over the past month and a half. And again, over the past month and a half before that, again, yes, it was a little more choppy, but still basically remaining in between this box. Now, if we compare that to the last 3 months, we can see this huge downtrend we had in the stock, right? We went, so March, April, May, right? Continued downtrend on MVMD here, right? Huge downtrend here. And it seems like this trend is actually finally broken right around here. And we can see that the downtrend seems to be broken, because you see this decrease in share price here, this downtrend, versus the next 3 months, which is pretty much a consolidation here remaining in between this box. Again, big support right here at the 0.35. So not too bad of a time to pick up shares if you're looking to. If you have a higher average price on your shares, then the 0.35 level would not be a bad spot to buy, in my humble opinion here. So this is the other potential catalyst, right? It looks like we've hit pretty much a bottom here on MVMD's share price. Now, we could always continue lower before we go up, but it does seem like we will sort of kind of continue this consolidation, or potentially start moving back up, depending on some of the news that comes out, especially since a lot of investors still think MVMD is lying to investors and not being truthful. But that's likely, very highly likely, not the case here. And once people realize that, once we potentially get some news here, then that could mean a pretty big run here in the stock, especially again if some of those other catalysts that I've mentioned before line up there. And I will leave you guys with a final note here. I always buy when euphoria is low and sell when euphoria is high, right? We saw that recently in cryptocurrency. I mentioned to buy after the euphoria came back down, right? We were at all-time highs. We came down, we crashed 50%, and that's where I bought at that 50% crashes. Everyone, euphoria came back down. People were worried about the share price. We had a bit of consolidation, and now we're back on an uptrend, right? Making potentially new all-time highs. But again, now euphoria is getting higher again for crypto. And so I actually did sell off some of my ADA, Cardano, right? cryptocurrency. Now, I am still holding most of those and obviously holding the rest of my cryptocurrency portfolio. But I'm not really buying at these levels because, again, euphoria is a little bit too high for me. Now, if we look at MVMD again, right, we can see euphoria is pretty much at an all-time low, right? People think this company is lying. People think that everything, people are worried. People think that they have nothing, right? And that's where you want to buy these stocks, guys. When euphoria is so low that there's nowhere to go but up, and that's kind of what I'm seeing for MVMD right now. Breaking this downtrend and with the potential catalyst coming up, it does seem like one where we can all make a little bit of money together. Could I be wrong? Of course I can. But again, this is just how I invest, and it's up to you to make your own decisions. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope you liked the video. Have a great long weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video.